Stays off the ball. John Giles is with us live this evening. Evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
You're keeping well?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good. We've had a lot of well wishes for you over the past week. I think you struck a chord last weekend when you were talking about your fears about the virus.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of old people, and I don't want to talk about it, Nathan, they're a bit scared to talk about it. So I think it might help a few in the same position as myself.
Yeah, I don't think it's any harm for them to have a bit of a voice like yourself, showing just what people and the sacrifices people need to make because, as you say, we need to protect that generation.
Yes, definitely.
Listen, we'll get talking about the football because there's a lot to get through, and it's been a crazy week in many ways because of COVID, amongst other things, for the Republic of Ireland. 3 matches, no wins, no goals. What's your take on it?
Well, there were different matches, Nathan. I thought the Welsh match was poor. I didn't think we created anything, or neither did Wales. Either there was a lot of passing across the back and going nowhere. I thought we were better against Finland, again without making many chances to score. We were better, but we're a long way from being where we want to be, as we know. And it's early days for Stephen. I think Stephen is making a few changes, trying to get it the way he wants, the way he sees it in his head, to get it on the pitch. We said from the start, I said from the start, Nathan, it'll take about 7 or 8 matches before Stephen, I think, will get to the team on the field that he wants. So it's going to take time. So I think he's experimenting at the moment.
Yeah. Any signs over the few games so far that we are heading in the direction of getting to the place where we want to be?
Well, I think every match has something to learn from. I don't think we've been outstanding in any game, and I wouldn't expect the team to be outstanding at this particular stage since Stephen took over. I think a lot of people are finding it easier on the eye, Nathan, because we're playing across the back and doing various things that other teams are doing at the moment, which seems to be fashionable. And my own take on that is I think we're probably overdoing it too much. Right.
So there's too much focus on just keeping hold of the ball.
Yes. Well, it's become part of the game for almost every club now. And it does happen in football where things become fashionable, Nathan. Like in my day, there was POMO. Do you remember POMO?
No.
POMO was called Position of Maximum Opportunity.
Right.
And what was happening was that people made out in the game that the more you got into the box, the more goals you scored, which was true. But what people decided then in the game was that bang it into the box from 30, 40 yards out. Do you know what I mean, Nathan? In other words, it would be going in the box, but not in a calculated way, in a good footballed way, to score the goals.
Right.
And that became very popular. So what happened was they had a goalkeeper, say the fullback was on the halfway line, he could pass it back to the goalkeeper, push out, 2 big fellas up front, away we go. Bang, 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 bang.
Did that not get us to a World Cup quarter-final, John?
No, it wasn't quite as dramatic as that.
Right.
Are you talking with
Big Jack
Charlton?
Yeah.
No, because what happened, they brought a rule out. In those days, you could pass the ball back to the goalkeeper and they could handle it. As you know now, if you pass the ball back to the goalkeeper, they can't handle it. So it actually stopped that. It stopped that rule.
Yeah.
Now, Jack did play the long ball game, but it wasn't quite as bad as the POMO era.
So you think that this trying to dominate possession, which, to be honest, it's a very interesting point, because I think a lot of people would feel that Ireland struggled to hold on to possession, and actually that one of the first things Stephen Kenny had to do was get a team who were comfortable passing the ball, who were comfortable in possession. What you're saying is that, yeah, you want to be comfortable in possession, but there's no point having it if you're not going to do something with it.
Well, yeah, possession is fine, Nathan, and the concept of it is very, very good as well. But there's two forms of keeping possession. There's possessions that I see now, not just from Ireland or Stephen, but generally speaking, the fullback gets it, he passes it into the centre-back passes to the centre-back passes out to the left-back, and then it comes across the pitch. That's possession, and that goes on your stats. But you're going nowhere, Nathan. You're not going anywhere. You know, you should. I think like what happens with the good teams, they can do that, and they've got top midfield players who get on the ball, turn on the ball, and bring the forwards into the game. We don't have those midfield players.
So are we
and
back?
Therefore, if we're going across the back, we're going on the back across again. And in my opinion, not getting anywhere. And I don't want to be critical of Stephen, because Stephen believes in that, and it's early days for him. But that's the way I see it. That I mean, the Welsh match, for example, we had the Welsh lad had a 6'9"
Kiefer Moore
forward,
yeah,
and we had long playing. And again, I'm going back to my day, and people might think I'm talking in my day. But the centre forwards used to be target men. We used to call them target men. In other words, if you got it deep, you could knock it up to them. They usually had a partner with them. Either could knock it on or hold on to it and bring the midfield players into the game. That's what they used to do. Now, in the Welsh game I saw, they had a 6'9" player playing for Wales. He never did it once, and we had long playing up front and didn't do it once. So that's been the change in the game, because the centre forward is not their fault, because it goes across the back, it goes into midfield, it goes back, and it goes across the back again. So they could be running all day and they're not getting the ball. So I think it's been overdone, Nathan.
So what can Stephen Kenny do then to progress if he does have his side getting on the ball a little bit more? What have the players got to do? What has the system got to be to make sure that actually they are creating more opportunities, they are making more use of the possession that they have?
Right. Well, I'll give you my opinion, Nathan. I've looked at it, and I'm only giving you my opinion. Everybody's different opinions. Stephen and everybody else will have different opinions. But what I've always looked for in football is effect. Is this effective? Now, I think Stephen has a big problem. I don't think we have a creative force in any of the midfield players that we have. Right. So when you take over a squad of players like Stephen has done, and you have preconceived ideas, well, I'll do this and he can do that. You don't know until it happens. And I'm only giving you my preconceived ideas on it. And what I would do if I was, what I see of the team so far, I would go back to the Notts Forest days when Brian Clough was manager of Notts Forest, which is going back a long time, when they won the league and 2 European Cups, right? They had a midfield of John McGovern and a lad called Ian Boyer, who were very, very average players. They couldn't create anything. So what he did, he had Martin O'Neill out on the right, who was a very good player, and John Robertson out on the left, who was a great player. So what he did in that sense was he knew he hadn't got the midfield players to be creative. So he was going to make it easy for them. So when Boyer got the ball, he was usually on the left. He gave it out to John Robertson. And McGovern, who was on the right, gave it out to Martin O'Neill. That's the job they had to do. That was the only job they had to do, except for defending a bit. So then it was up to Martin O'Neill and John Robertson to create the stuff from there, whether they did it on their own, beating players, or fullbacks coming out and getting on the overlap, Nathan. So in other words, in my opinion, it was very clever of Clough. He was using the players that he had as best he could, right? So I'm going to relate that now to the Irish team. What I would try with the Irish team is to have 2 midfield players, right? And of them, you've got Byrne, Arthur, Hendrick, McCarthy, Brady, Brown, Hourihan. I would have probably Brady and Arthur as those 2. Probably have those 2, right? And they'd be, and then on the right hand side, I would have O'Dowda or Horgan. I thought Horgan was very good in the match they played recently. And on the left hand side, I'd have McLean. So they'd be out wide. They'd be making up the 4 when the ball's on the other side of the field. You know what I mean, Nathan? Yeah. They could still be a 4, but you'd have 2 wide players, very, very wide players, and 2 lads up front, right? One would be Connolly, that I would have, that comes into my mind, and the other would be Ida. Ida, is it? Yeah, Adamida, yeah. Yeah, in other words, he'd be the target player. And if the lads got it on, say Seamus Coleman got in the right back position, actually the first thing I'd say to him is, can you get Ida? Knock it into his feet. If not, knock it in the air and let him knock it on for Connolly. And in the meantime, the midfield players are backing that up quickly, really quickly, for the knockdown, Nathan. because we're not going to create anything in midfield. Now, I'm getting a bit tactical here, and people might not be able to follow it. But this, I hope I'm making it simple enough.
John, can you just, because I think, to explain it a bit further then, can you, I think to a lot of people that will sound like sort of what was there under Mick McCarthy and Martin O'Neill, that it was at times quite direct. There was no real attempt to get a hold of the ball and do the right thing. Like, is that not just Seamus Coleman going long to Adamida, Route 1 football?
No, I'm not saying he would do it all the time.
Right.
I mean, if it's on, obviously the midfield players would look for the ball. But what I'm saying is, of what I've seen so far, they have been looking for the ball and they can't do anything with it, and they can't get it. Right. Therefore, you're forced, not forced, but that's the only way I would see out of it, is to knock it in. And we have good players at the back to knock in good balls. It wouldn't be just knocking it in anywhere. They'd be knocking it in to give the centre forward either the best chance of holding it up, or knocking it on. You know, that wasn't always the case with Martin O'Neill, in my opinion. That wasn't always the case, but that's the way I would certainly see it now in what we're doing.
The comparison you make with Nottingham Forest and Ian Bowyer and John McGovern in the middle of midfield, like, you've spoken about John Robertson a lot in recent years, and particularly over the lockdown, as you've never seen a left winger be able to control a game the way John Robertson was.
Yes.
With all due respect to James McLean, he's not John Robertson. So if you don't have the two central midfielders, and likewise, Darrell Horgan probably isn't Martin O'Neill. So,
no, I wouldn't expect Horgan. None of them would be what the players. You're misinterpreting me a lot here, Nathan. In principle, that's the positions they were in.
Yeah.
Nobody. I'm not saying that any of the players are as good as John Robertson or Martin O'Neill, but the principle has to be the same. They don't have to be good, but they can be better than what we have. That's the point I'm trying to make. At the moment, we're not going anywhere, Nathan. We're going across the pitch. We're going here. We're going there. We can't score a goal. We don't look like scoring a goal. We've got loads of possession of the ball, and we're not going anywhere. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm suggesting, and what I said, everyone, whether my thoughts would be successful or not, I don't know. I'd have to see it. But I don't see anything at the moment, and no matter what midfield players we play, and we're going to pay it out from the back. I don't care who it is in midfield. I don't think we've got anybody capable of doing what needs to be done. So I'm just looking at different options. To be better than what we're actually doing. I wouldn't suggest for a moment that McLean and the lads that we have, who are good, honest players, would be in the centre. We're talking about European Cup winners here, and League Cup winners in England, Nathan. All I'm looking at is improvement to get us to be as good as Finland and other teams in that particular area.
All right, John. We just need to take a very quick break, but there's plenty more we want to talk about.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power. New normal, same old football. Paddy Power. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
It's not the economy. It's not COVID. And it's not immigration. It is an issue so deep-rooted in the American psyche for generations that every voter will carry it with them into the ballot box on November 3rd. On this week's episode of Race to the White House, we speak with the owner of the largest gun store in America. We'll also look at the key developments on the campaign trail this week and take you back inside the White House as we try to breach the bunker.
Race to the White House with Simon Tierney.
Tune in Saturday evening from 7
on News Talk.
Watch all the live action with Sky Sports and Sports Extra, half price for 6 months. This weekend, watch the Champions Cup final live on BT Sport.
It's magnificent! There's no other way!
Get Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports half price for 6 months. Search Sky Sports Sale. New sports customers only. Standard pricing applies after 6 months or of cancelling one element of the bundle. Minimum term and further terms apply.
At At Guaranteed Irish, we believe enterprise is at the heart of thriving communities.
Did you know Sudocream's name came from the Irish pronunciation of soothing cream? Still manufactured by Teva in Baldoyle today, Sudocream has been soothing skin since 1931, making it a staple in Irish households whilst also supporting Irish jobs. Guaranteed Irish welcomes companies that are altogether better choices for our communities. So look out for it. GuaranteedIrish.ie. Altogether better.
The moment you see the Volkswagen you want, you know it's for you. And the Volkswagen Assurance Plan helps everything else fall into place. With PCP finance from 0% APR, flexible deposit options, and a guaranteed minimum future value. It's time to follow your instinct. Search Volkswagen 211 now. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lender criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Visit volkswagen.ie/211. Volkswagen.
What makes me smile? Free stuff. Supermarket samples? Don't mind if I do. Hotel soaps and shower caps? Can't get enough of them. So I love Specsavers. Because with my PRSI entitlement, I get a free eye test and a free pair of glasses from their €69 range. Ka-ching! That's something to smile about.
The whole world smiles with you.
Subject to eligibility. Book an appointment or find out more at specsavers.ie.
At Centra, we have everything you need. Like Centra Fresh Irish Part-Bone Chicken Breasts, half price now €3.50. Nescafe Gold Blend Signature Jar 100 gram, half price now €2.49. And until Sunday, Heineken 20 bottle box, only €19.68. Centra, live every day. Enjoy call sensibly.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Minimal contact in stadiums shouldn't stop the usual suspects from going down. Gamble responsibly. GamblingCare.ie.
You're welcome back. John Giles is with us live on the line. John, we went a bit long there, so we don't have much time now, but I want to get some more thoughts on Ireland because you've had some interesting stuff so far. Stephen Kenny finds himself in a bit of a difficult position now because he's obviously trying to change things, John, and change the style somewhat. But when you go 5 games without a win, 4 games without a goal, you just need a result at this stage. Do you think he needs to change his thinking for the games coming up in November?
Well, I think it's early days for Stephen. Stephen is obviously trying what he believes in, and the only way he can see it is it succeeding, is it not succeeding? I'm only giving you my opinion of what I've seen so far and what I would do, and obviously my selections won't be open to public viewing. I think there's a lot of things that Stephen is doing or trying to do is good. I think these general principles are good, but my thing is I don't think he actually has the players at the moment are trying to do what he wants them to do.
Yeah,
that's why I would suggest in a different way. And I'll just go back on one point you mentioned before. It's definitely not Jack Charlton that I'm looking for. I mean, Jack actually had a thing in the paper when he started. He told the goalkeeper under no situation or circumstances is he to throw the ball out to fullbacks. So there's a total difference. I would be encouraging the goalkeeper to throw at the fullbacks and them to be progressive or be a bit more progressive than we are at the moment. Anyway, I get that out of the way. Stephen has only played 3 or 4 matches, Nathan, and he's trying out different things. And again, I said I wouldn't judge Stephen until he's played 7, maybe 8 matches. So they're the things he's trying out. What I'm talking to you about is what I would do at the moment with the Irish team. Whether that would work or not, I don't know. But that's what I would try and do.
Yeah, the lack of goals is obviously a huge concern.
Yes,
1 forward has scored a goal in 3 years at this stage. I guess there's no quick fix for that.
No, well, you try the different situations. I mean, what's happening at the moment, in many ways, I don't want to be cruel to Stephen to say, well, obviously we're not scoring goals. Whatever we're doing at the moment is not really working. So, the big problem that Stephen has, it's not tactics that's wrong. He doesn't have the players, in my opinion, Nathan. Yeah. I don't want to be disrespectful to the players either, but I don't think he actually has the players, in the middle of the field particularly, to do what he wants to do. That's why I would change it dramatically in that particular way. I wouldn't depend on the midfield players to do what needs to be done. I would try and make it as easy for the midfield players as I possibly could, and I'm only using Brian Clough as an example on that.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
We don't have the players that he had.
Yeah, yeah, that is for sure, unfortunately. John, as I said...
We have the principle, though. principle would be the same. In other words, if it's played out to the winger, whether it be McLean or Hogan or any of these players, from what I can see them, I think they can do more on the ball in a progressive way than the midfield players that we have trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. John, great stuff as always. Always interesting. Good to talk to you. We'll talk to you again next Thursday. A lot of Premier League back. Merseyside Derby,
yes.
Manchester City, Arsenal on Saturday. And we got 2 live games here on Sunday. So we'll talk to you next Thursday, 7:30.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Nathan.
John Giles there as always. If you missed that, you can listen back to it on the OTB Sports app. Just to let you know that the big names keep on coming as part of our Cadbury FC series of roadshows. So far, we have had in-depth chats with Gary Neville, Teddy Sheringham, Packy Bonner, Shay Given, Saul Campbell and Ian Wright. And in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking to Glenn Hoddle and Harry Redknapp. We'll give you more details on when and where you can watch that show on all our social channels over the coming days. It is all with thanks to Cadbury FC. Check out cadburyfc.com for updates on promotions and giveaways. Quick break, and then we're going to get the latest on the future of the inter-county season.
News Talk Extra, our email newsletter straight to your inbox. Sign up now at newstalk.com/extra.
There are plenty of reasons to get an official Volkswagen service, from the expertise